This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
Hey, this is Brian Peña. I always join the Vito podcast, the best podcast in the United States.
I was trying to get it how I live. I want them dead presidents. I want to pull up, head spin, get fly. I got 6 jobs. I don't get time. I don't get time.
And we are still not tired here on the latest episode of Two Bad Hombres, episode number 44 of the podcast this week. Doc, I am Vito Churko, and that is the Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. John, how's it going?
Vito, I got a question for you. When you're driving to Ann Arbor to cover the Michigan Wolverines, do you play our podcast when you're driving up there? Because I know it's probably an hour drive from your home to the big house. Do you jam Two Bad Hombres?
It's a long enough drive, but not long enough for a recording of Two Bad Hombres to be listened to by me.
Shame on you.
Shame on me, right?
You don't listen to our podcast ever when you've driven up and done your work with the big house and covering Michigan football?
I've never listened in on the way to Ann Arbor. Haven't done that. Now, I probably should have done that and stayed in my car instead of walking through all the rain last Saturday, though. Going to the Minnesota game in Ann Arbor, lovely A squared, but God, I got drenched. Everything was soaked. The rain went through my pants. My underwear was wet. Seriously, everything was wet. It was that bad, man.
So what was it like? I know there was a 3-hour rain delay for the Michigan State-Penn State contest. How did it affect you?
Oh, it affected me. I was devastated. I cried. And I went in the bathroom and I cried a little bit.
You got rained on walking from your car to the press box? Is that where you got the majority
Correct. See, I just sucked it up and walked through all of it. I could have stayed in the car and listened to an episode of Two Bad Hombres, maybe last week's episode, while in the car. Didn't decide to do that. Probably made a stupid decision, but I'm a little bit stupid at times, too.
Wait, so you're saying you didn't take an umbrella?
I didn't have an umbrella. No, didn't have anything. I didn't have an umbrella. I didn't have a hood.
See,
I had a nice jacket, stylish, looks good, but not the jacket that you have and that you wear when you're getting drenched with rain.
In times like that, are you self-critical of yourself going, God, Vito, how stupid are you? In that, don't you know that there was a 3-hour rain delay at Michigan State? You should have prepared yourself to at least have a hooded jacket. I don't understand. Why were you so unprepared?
I just know I'm stupid and don't care. I just admit it and fully embrace it, the stupidity that...
Well, the other aspect of it, too, is you're carrying gear because I hear your fine post-game reports, which
it worked out good, right?
Provided to you by the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. Were you willing to then just, damage our goods?
No, I didn't think of that, how that could have been damaged. And that was my mistake. That was probably the most stupid part of everything. Nothing was damaged, but yeah, it could have been. I didn't think of that, how the rain would be that harsh. And come on, give me a break here. I've never had that happen, I think, that intensive rain where I'm walking through. I don't think so, seriously. In my whole entire life, 24 years on this planet Earth, I don't think I've had that high of intensity of rain come at me and on me while I'm walking. I don't think ever in my lifetime prior to that game against Minnesota.
Yeah, and many people are talking about it like, why would the Big Ten? I mean, I know you have to appease your television partners and you want to do what's best for business in terms of your relationships and things like that. But to schedule a night game in November is really tough, don't you think? It's really tough to play college football in the state of Michigan in November. And so for Michigan to play Minnesota, obviously there was like an hour delay. It started about 8:30?
8:30. They had said 8:45. That was the estimated start time. Then it actually got kicked off at 8:30, which was better than 8:45. The game went relatively quick, though, because of Karan Higdon rushing for 200 yards, his second 200-yard game of the season. The ground game was great, but we're talking about the weather here, the inclement weather, and it was devastating. Everybody got drenched, and there was a delay, but it wasn't as long of a delay as it could have been, and as was the case with the Michigan State-Penn State contest, as you were describing.
You're not that much of a loser, are you?
Hope not. I felt like a loser walking through that rain, though. Definitely, yeah.
So the lesson learned is you got to be prepared, and you got to be able to, come on, Vito, you got to act professional now. You can't be amateurish. That's kind of an amateurish move, don't you think?
Amateurish, yeah.
And the other thing is, too, I'd like you to listen back to the podcast to make sure, because the reason why I asked was I really felt like episode 43 was really funny.
Oh, it was good.
A lot of good chemistry.
Good,
yes. And we were laughing, joking. And as a result of that, as a result of my awesome self-promotion via our Twitter platform, at Detroit Podcast, I've now also gotten you some attention with the opposite sex. So,
oh, good. 'Cause I was so desperate. I just needed you to do that. But it did help. I did see a result from it. Now, is it going to lead to anything? Probably not. I haven't pursued it, and that's the honest truth. I'm willing to admit it here. But yes, there was a woman that reached out or like tweeted at us, right? As a result of a tweet that you made about the last week's episode of Two Bad Hombres.
I felt it was very funny. If you haven't seen it, go to our Twitter page and you'll see that from time to time, I get creative with the Photoshop and I put, because I'm a big fan of Coming to America, I put Vito's face on one of the character played by Eddie Murphy. And I noted that Vito now has openly declared via our podcast that he is searching for love in all the right places. And so by announcing it via our Twitter page, I feel like we can now share with everybody your endeavors. You're trying to make it as a single white man in a lonely world, and I wish you the best of luck.
Now, why did you have to clarify that I'm white? I think everybody knows that.
Maybe
single,
not.
Man. Single, yeah. Well, and I've been single for a long time, Doc. Maybe a little bit too long. And I hope I'm not going to find my love in the wrong place or places, right? I got to find my true love in the right place. We'll see if that actually does come to fruition. But it's out there in the open, isn't it now, Doc?
So we have to answer Steve's question because he had the notion that you were on Tinder, which you're not on anymore. You've taken your profile down from all online platforms, but I know I did see Grindr on your laptop there, so I know you might be creating a new
new persona for me. It's a new persona. It's my double life, Doc.
If you were to be on Tinder or Grindr or any such site, what would you put on your bio? What would you really put?
I've been on Tinder, actually recently too.
What'd you put on your bio?
But you don't put anything in the bio. It's so bad because, guys, even myself, I fall victim to it. If the girl's attractive to me, to the opposite sex, we're going to swipe right. It's swiping right if you like the girl and what she looks like. It's much more about that. And for the girl, too, you know what it is. And they look at a guy. They like the guy and what he looks like. Still looking to do that. But Tinder, it has its good and bad. Right? It has its ugly side, and when Tinder shows off its ugly side, it's when you see cases such as what I'm willing to admit here too, that you just swipe right because you like the girl and what she looks like. It doesn't even matter what the bio says, man. Trust me. Come on. You know it yourself. When you're on an online dating site, it matters a little bit. And this is a little bit different than an online dating site, in my opinion. It's not eHarmony. And I'm not trying to just get matched all of a sudden. Like, I don't think I'm desperate enough to go on eHarmony.
Have you ever been on a date through somebody you met online?
Not yet.
Never.
Now,
don't do it.
No,
My
I haven't.
counsel to you would be don't do it. And I think we'll talk about this just for a quick moment here. Dating online, from what I hear, is really tough at this point in time. I feel like meeting people through online dating services, while they boast significant numbers of success and things like that, what I hear is always the horror stories of bad dates, awful blind dates, situations where people are looking to just hook up. So I would say that the avenue of you finding this woman that we're trying to get you, involved with, trying to find you love in all the right places, I don't think we should do it online. I think we should start with that and share with people that you will not create any more profiles, that you will find a fine, upstanding citizen the old-fashioned way, either through a referral from myself or Nick, or somebody that says, "Hey, I know this great guy Vito. He's super rich and he's very well. He's well.
That's the only way I want to get a girl right now, right? So really, the question is, I hear this great contribution that you can make to me through a referral from you or from Nick. So what are you going to do then for me? When's it going to happen? I mean, I want to see results, right?
Okay, step one. What kind of woman are you interested in?
Well, she's got to be shorter, obviously. And we want to really break it down. Yeah, she can't be too tall. I mean, that's the honest truth.
Okay, what's the tallest woman you would
Tallest woman? About 5'2", about my mom's size. She's about 5'2". That's not, I don't know if that made it sound weird by saying about my mom's size, but yeah.
Good.
Okay. So that's the 5'2", preference blonde, brunette.
I really don't care. I'm not picky.
Okay.
I just need love, Doc.
Okay. That's what you're looking for, true love?
True love in all the right places, like you said.
So how are you envisioning it? What are you envisioning in that if you found the right young lady? Are you ready to get married?
I've never actually envisioned meeting the right woman. That's how sad it is for me.
See, that's why we told people we were going to take them through your journey, because you've never even thought about it? Never even thought
really
about what kind
haven't.
of woman you want to date?
Well, no, like the description like I just gave to you.
Oh, you've been saying you want to date your mom.
I know, right? Which sounds really bad and weird.
What's going on?
Yeah, I've got something wrong with me that's more than just being desperate for finding my true love.
Okay,
I'm really not that desperate. I haven't cared enough about it, Doc. I mean, I think I've said that through this podcast before, that I really haven't thought or cared about it enough to really, I guess, envision that right woman.
You're gay.
I don't think so, Howard. But
okay, step one.
I'll get back to you on that.
I'm referring you to a young lady, right? You want to date a woman? Okay.
So what would you do? What's the type of woman? I've got to help you out. I'm trying to give you a little bit of a description, but I guess it's tough for me because, like I said, I've never really thought about it because I've never cared enough about it.
Oh, my goodness. Vito.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I'm only 24. I've got a lot of life to live, man. I'm not worried about getting married. Now, people that are around my age are getting married like next year. I've got 2 weddings to go to, by the way, next summer.
Did you see at the end of the World Series, what Carlos Correa did. We'll talk about that. There's others getting married already,
Yes.
Vito.
Who's young? Younger than me. Correa's what, 23, 22? He's
We'll look
young.
it up. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll look it up while we talk about it. But first and foremost for you, okay, so we got to get you starting to think about it.
Yeah.
Are you thinking about getting married? Have you thought about a number of what age you want to be married by? Do you have goals? You got to set goals, man.
Well, if I was going to get married, I would like to get married, so that's true. I can admit a yes to that. And by what age do I want to get married by? I really haven't given much thought to that, but I would say 30. Thinking of it right now, spur of the moment, I would say by 30. That would be a good age for me to get married by.
Okay, are you in the mood to date or are you in the mood to just now have fun? Okay, because
Well,
that's two different things.
What kind of fun am I going to have here? I'm not a one-night... I don't think I would be a one-night stand kind of guy, though. So to tell you the truth, I'm not... I've never been interested in that, so I'm going to say no to that.
Okay, you want to date somebody.
I would want to date. Yeah, I want to really... If I'm going to get into this, I want to date somebody. I'm serious. If I'm going to get into a dating situation, I want to be serious about it and actually date the woman and get to know her and maybe have a chance of getting married with her.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, you're looking for Mrs. Right.
So yes, the right woman. Correct.
Okay, so it's a situation where we know, step one, that you want to date somebody, you want to be in a monogamous relationship, you're not into the swinging kind of thing, you don't want to be involved in alternative lifestyles.
I'll tell you this much. If we end up swinging, I think she's going to be getting more out of it than me. So no to swinging.
Oh my gosh, Vito, you know what? You would come to me and be like, Doc, I got this great story. I'd be like, what? She's like, I met this great girl. She's everything I want, and she's into this lifestyle. I'm like, great, Vito. She's gonna hook you up with another woman. You come to me and be like, no, man. She's really into two guys.
Yeah, she's doing other guys. She would be. That'd be my luck.
Your luck. She'd ask you to be involved with the two.
Yes, I don't want it. I really don't want it.
I'd be like, no, Vito. Oh no, we got a big problem. No, if you're gonna ever be involved in multiples, it's got to be at least two women, one guy. Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. So you're interested in a wholesome young lady, journalist, maybe another sports journalist.
I've kind of thought of this, though, actually, because I'm not going to make any money as a journalist. I don't think she can be a journalist, too, because she's not going to make any money. So I think she has to be a doctor or something. The thing is, a doctor being entertained and interested in me, in a journalist, is going to be hard to come by, maybe.
Would you be interested in a sugar mama relationship where somebody that
How serious would that be, then? How long would that last? It may be exciting for a little bit. She could pay off my loan, maybe help me pay off my loans.
maybe
But how long would that last?
Maybe a young lady that comes from a trust fund and she just wants to travel and she'd say, look, Vito, put aside the podcast. I know you're doing that as a startup, but why don't you just come with me and travel the world and live off of my parents' money?
That'd be nice for a while, but how long would it last? Because I want something meaningful. I did say that. I want something serious. It could be serious for a little bit. No, I really want something serious, so how long would that truly last,
That's
right?
gay.
No,
I don't know
Vito,
about that.
The answer should always be yes. If she has a lot of figures,
Just say yes to it right away.
Yes.
Don't stutter. Don't halt. No hesitation.
Give me 2 week notice and travel the world, and you can come back anytime.
So let me ask you, if you were a single man right now, well, I guess it's hard to put it on you here and maybe bad to ask of you, but what would you be looking for? Would you be entertained and intrigued by that kind of a woman?
Yes.
Or no?
No. Step one, I would definitely not go online. I would not put up a profile.
You wouldn't ever do a Tinder thing?
No.
Okay.
And you can ask me anything. I would definitely find my way easy into dating if I was available right now. I would potentially now being a basketball reporter, being a podcaster.
Yes, you're a big shot now,
Yeah, being a big shot, I would potentially maybe go down to some cheerleader tryouts.
There you go. Stepping really low. You're stepping really low already.
You know what? Step one, actually, you just go the easy route. In the notion of keep it simple, stupid, I just invite somebody to my podcast. Hey, you want to come on my podcast and be featured worldwide? Yeah. And then be like, oh, that was so great. You want to go and have some coffee? There's a great coffee place right next door. I'll buy you, da-da-da. Maybe slip out a couple,
$100 bill that might get her to really drink some coffee with you. Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of, not slip her a $100 bill, but just kind of put like, some money on the table and be like, oh, sorry, I got to get my phone out. I got to get my stuff out. And just
I was just circling through all these $100 bills.
A couple grand on the table. And you look at it and you say, okay, what do we got going on here? For me, I got lucky. I dated my wife and I found out that, we were working together and I asked her out and that was a wrap. I was just confident. That's what you got to do is you just got to actually get to know people. That's why when you're at the press box, I'm like, oh, is there any young ladies there? Because I always see,
you've asked,
I always see young ladies doing stats and doing stuff at Oakland University, and they're always like typing away and taking pictures. A lot of photographers. I'd be like, I'm gonna start asking around. Be like, hey, I know this young guy, very successful journalist.
So your eye is out only for me, right? You're only looking for me.
Only
Just
looking for Vito.
Okay,
only
very
looking
good.
for Vito.
So you know what? You see a lot of those students, those student assistants, male and female.
Yeah.
Maybe there is something there at Detroit Mercy at OU. You never know. You never know where you're going to find your true love. And I've just never really given it much thought. That's the truth here. So you're saying I should give it much more thought, even though I'm only 24. But I'm not too old to get into dating for the first time truly for myself, right? I'm not too old for that.
Okay, I think it's good right now. Where we're at is Until we reconvene again next week when we resume Vito's love adventures, I think you definitely at step one have to think about what it is that you want. I mean, my goodness, how am I going to advocate for you if you don't even know what you want? Because look, Vito, guys like Carlos Correa, I mean, he's just had his proudest moment in his life. I mean, a career accomplishment, a major milestone. And what does he do? I mean, that's a boss move. That's a huge move, what he did, in that it puts a bunch of other guys to shame because it's the biggest moment of his life. Carlos Correa, Major League Baseball player, wins the World Series. Everybody's celebrating, running, hugging, and everybody is, really super excited. And you look at it, and what does he do? He kind of set it up with Ken Rosenthal, esteemed Major League Baseball reporter, and they do the interview. He calls over his significant other. Everybody's there that knows what's going down, and he pops the question in front of everybody, nationwide. What'd you think of that?
I thought it was bold and quite the move to get attention to yourself proposing to your woman of choice. So more power to him. The national spotlight on him after winning a World Series, and then you propose to your girl and she says yes to you. What's better than that? Well, I guess what Justin Verlander did, getting married in Italy. After the World Series, he wins a World Series title, gets a ring for the first time, and now he gets a ring for another occasion for a great reason and getting married to the beautiful supermodel that is Kate Upton. So, wow. I mean, some beautiful women that Correa is now engaged to, that Justin Verlander is married to now, and what a fun time for those two individuals to be alive, definitely.
So, you don't think, though, one thing that people talked about, though, is do you believe that at 23, 24, that young guy should get married? A lot of people debated it and said, look, hey, at that age when you're wealthy, a young professional baseball player, should you be committing to a long-term committed relationship at that age when you know that in the United States it's so hard to keep a relationship going? I mean, we joked about Justin Verlander's marriage on the Tigers Talk podcast that airs each and every Wednesday, and we were just kind of being lighthearted about it and talking about whether we thought Justin Verlander's marriage could last. And those are two very esteemed and rich individuals, very successful in their respective careers, Justin Verlander and Kate Upton. Now you got Carlos Correa. I don't know much about his fiance, but do you think at such a young age people should be getting married? I can speak about it personally in my family. My sister got married very young, and thank goodness she's been married 11 years, but I never thought that my brother-in-law getting married that young, would be I didn't think it was advantageous. For me, I was like, you got to get, like in Coming to America, you got to sow your royal oats. And to get it out by the time you're like 28, 29, you want to have that all behind you. But I don't know too many people at this day and age that get married that young, so I wish them luck, but I don't think it's advantageous. I do think that both men and women have to learn and grow, get careers, get a bunch of money, get themselves established, and you could have a much better relationship. I don't feel like if I got married at 22, oh my gosh, the stuff I was doing at 23, 24, 25, 26, I don't think it was marriage material at that time.
You were being a bad hombre.
I was a bad hombre.
So I would say if you find the right man or woman who you truly love, marry him or her. It's about finding that significant other that really treats you the right way, is respectful of you and your best interests, and wants you to succeed in life. If you find that in a partner, you go out there and you get married to that person. I don't care how old you are. So that's how I view it. Even though I've never been in a true relationship, never have dated a person truly, well, for me, I still have that viewpoint that if you find the right person, you get married to him or her as soon as you possibly can, because when you find true love, I think you have to go for it. You don't waste time with that person.
Do you think an athlete or somebody that's a celebrity maybe has a better chance of success, being that he's already got a good solid foundation of a job and a career and stuff like that?
Well, yeah, if you have a nice career that you make a lot of money from, that is kind of what success amounts to for a lot of people in this world, right? In today's day and age. I was going to bring up an example really quick of a guy that never got married, didn't get married young, is married now, Derek Jeter. How about how he played the field for a long time and it worked out in his benefit? He's married to a beautiful woman now, but he played the field for all that time when he was growing up and stupid and mature, and he was able to plant his seed in numerous plants, and, he saw many fish, right? He planted his seed, it sounds so bad, in many fish. Mm-hmm. I mean, he really lived the good life in terms of getting out there, meeting many women, and doing what he wanted to with many women in a respectful manner, considerate manner. And he probably had a heck of a life in his 20s, in his early 30s. But now he's married after going through all that, and after giving, what would he give to these women that he would spend the night with? A trinket on their way out, like a nice flower basket or a basket of goodies. I mean, think about what he did for all those women. That was a story at one point, and a funny story. I think it was even talked about on the radio, locally, nationally. A lot of people talked about it and half-heartedly talked about it, that Derek Jeter, man, he served these women right, because all these women benefited. They got these little trinkets on their way out after spending a night. I think typically a one-night stand with Derek Jeter. And he got out all his craziness, all his love escapades, right? His sexcapades, you could say. He got out all of that. He got it all out when he was younger. So I think you could live your life that way when you're highly successful. You're in the limelight all the time. You're a celebrity figure in the Bronx, in New York, like Derek Jeter, any celebrity. I think a man or woman that lives their life that way when they're younger, in their 20s, early 30s, there's something of merit to that, too, to living your life that way when you are in the limelight, as much as Derek Jeter was and still is. And now he's married after all this time. And probably you could say a guy like that chose to get married at the right time.
And so the grand gesture, the huge ring, did you see the picture that I tweeted you and said, look, did you pay attention? See, I mean, that was a pose that a woman would make. It didn't seem like it was too classy. I mean, his fiance had her tongue wagging everywhere. But when you get a rock that big, obviously she was impressed and she was very excited. And so that is something that I think that's why I tell people, look, when you want to get married, be successful. Be somebody that's career-oriented. Find somebody that you are compatible with, but also be in a position where you can have success and have some fun too, because, you know, it's important. Money's important. Have you envisioned, would you be willing to potentially, if you were going to propose to somebody, do it at a ballpark or do it in a grand way where everybody saw it?
I would probably do it in a more secretive manner, honestly, even though that would be cool. You get the attention. It goes viral via Twitter, Instagram. Everybody likes your post. Everybody knows about you getting married or you're, proposing and it going successfully. But I don't think I need any of that. I wouldn't want that in the limelight too much.
All right, Vito, let's take our first time out. Second half of the podcast, I definitely want to check in on Deion Sanders and Tony Romo, beefing back and forth. I liked how Deion Sanders couched how he's going to blast Tony Romo, but we'll talk taking the high road. And unfortunately, some unfortunate news that came across the wire earlier in the week regarding Roy Halladay and flying. It kind of brings about my worst fears, something I haven't done in 5 years. We'll talk about it after this timeout.
And as you know, Doc, Top Cat Sales is a proud sponsor of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. And Top Cat Sales, if you're looking for team apparel for your high school, your club sports team, or your corporation, then look no further than Top Cat Sales, located on the east side of Main Street in downtown Royal Oak, between 11 and 12 Mile. Their founder and former University of Michigan quarterback, John Wingler's leadership, Top Cat Sales has developed a tradition of selling and distributing custom Adidas team apparel, or the very highest quality and the very best service. So get your organization, your school, or your club team all in with Adidas today by emailing sales@topcatteamsales.com. Once again, the email address is sales@topcatteamsales.com. And remember to follow Top Cat Sales on Twitter @TeamTopCat.
And Vito, I definitely want to thank you for your work during the Top Cat Sales High School Coach of the Week poll. Great concept, great idea. Each and every week, you can go to our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com, and vote for your favorite high school Coach of the Week. And thank you to Top Cat Sales for sponsoring it. Monday through Thursday, you can vote for your favorite high school football Coach of the Week via Top Cat Sales. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we coming now.
And back here on episode number 44 of Two Bad Hombres, I am Vito Churko. That is the Doc. Across from me at the studio table as usual. And Doc, you wanted to talk about the beef currently going on between Deion Sanders, a former Cowboys great, and Tony Romo, an ex-Cowboy, and a good one in his own right.
Yeah, let's play this clip because it's very funny. And obviously, people are very impressed with Tony Romo as he transitioned from the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys to now being in the booth, widely regarded as somebody that is very talented. Everybody wants to listen to the man. And but when you have a position of power like a broadcaster, and you got to remember, broadcasters have this unique ability to tell stories and relate things. But sometimes, like you and I do, sometimes we use the microphone for jokes and hijinks and hilarity. And you bring up things that maybe you're not supposed to. And Tony Romo made a reference regarding some poor tackling. And he brought up somebody's name, a Hall of Famer's name. And when that Hall of Famer, caught wind of this, he chirped back, and it was very funny. I want to play this clip, and we'll talk about taking the high road, because I do think it's funny in that there is a proper way of doing it, and I want to get your sense if it was fair or foul in regards to what Deion did in terms of retaliating towards Tony Romo.
I'm telling you, He's really good out there at the corner off coverage, but in tackling,
not his thing.
No, and he makes Deion Sanders look good at tackling sometimes.
See, Tony, I tried my best to take the high road, but I don't know the address to the high road. So I got to come at you, man. You 10 years as a starter, you're 2-4 in the playoffs. You ain't won nothing. I tried to bury the hatchet. Both of us work for CBS. I went and shook your hand and say, Tony, you're doing a great job this year. I thought that would be it. But nevertheless, you keep on shooting at me. Tony, what's going on, man? I got a gold jacket that I didn't buy. Dak says hi. And bye. Tony, leave me alone, man. I got a lot of ammunition, man. How many interceptions? 19 in 2012? Come on, man. You threw to everybody but me. Tony, come on, man. You know you never won the big one. So stop, man. Leave me alone. I tried to take the high road, but I don't know the address.
I tried to take the high road, but I don't know the address. Now, me personally, I love it. Because, look, this is bravado, ego at its finest. You know, Deion Sanders is a Hall of Famer. He ain't going to let nobody come up there and disrespect him because he knows that he's got this bad reputation as being a poor tackler. And it stems from, if you don't know, Deion Sanders, very esteemed defender, a guy that in the secondary really made his mark as a guy where people wouldn't even throw it to his side of the field. But there were scenarios where he came out and said, look, I'm making some business decisions here in terms of who I'm going to go at. Like in his era, there were these huge, humongous running backs like Brandon Jacobs. He wasn't going to go run up there into the line and smash into a Brandon Jacobs. He kind of got known for maybe avoiding the big hit versus the bigger guy. And he made some business decisions. But when it came down to it and it was important time and he needed to do some things, Deion Sanders performed. But he got that reputation. And so Tony Romo brought it up. And Deion Sanders now has to reply. There is an avenue that people do debate whether Deion could have ignored it. Should he have used his platform as an analyst on the NFL Network to come on and reply to it? I loved how he did it. He said, look, man, I was with you. I shook your hand. I thought we were colleagues. We work for the same kind of network. We're getting paid by the same people. Why are you chirping at me? So Deion says, fine, you want to bring up something? You fired the first salvo. You came at me. Stop it. I'm going to end it now. Deion could have even went harder to the paint, talking about other things going on in Tony Romo's professional life. But what did you make of it? I know it's not the best message to send if there's kids around, an eye for an eye. We always tell people to take the high road. But sometimes when you're pushed into a corner and people are making fun of you, you got to stand up for yourself. Do you feel like if he was going to stand up for himself, this was not a bad way to do it?
Well, I'm going to say this much, that you like it so much because you like the WWE. You like the person that plays that heel role, the antagonist, the protagonist, and Deion Sanders had the right to react to it, and I think it was staged. I think who was having the talk earlier on Tuesday via their studio show or radio show? It might have been Colin Cowherd who was talking about, or Dan Patrick, I think it was, who was talking about on his show earlier in the week, saying that he thinks it was staged because Deion Sanders had these lyrics and it rhymed, everything rhymed and was spoken so eloquently, and it was prepared. It was like a prepared statement that he rapped off, had rhyme, and it was really good, a really good response from Deion, and I know you loved it so much once again because of him playing that heel roller, having that vibe of something from the WWE, which I don't care about and I think is fake sports. So for me, Deion Sanders responding in that way doesn't do anything for me, Doc.
I understand you would have wanted Deion to kind of just take the high road, find the address.
You're a Hall of Famer for a reason. Hall of Famers, I think, should take the high road and definitely do most of the time. Deion Sanders is a character and a different kind of human being, though. He's a special specimen, a guy that responds to a lot of stuff and lives for that, right? He wants to always be in the limelight, and this was his way of being in the limelight once again.
Have you ever stood up for yourself? Have you ever
Never.
had to?
No, I don't want to ever stand up for myself.
Never?
No. I was going to ask you earlier, too, regarding my relationship status that you discussed so heavily in the beginning of this podcast this week, Doc. I wanted to ask you your opinion. Do you think I'm a confident human being, overall wise?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So maybe not the most confident with the women, not to go back into that conversation, but I think with everything else. So when somebody comes at me and calls me a midget, let's say, or I hear them talking some crap about me, I will stand up for myself. And I think as I grow and get older and older, let's say, and more, even more and more mature, I think I'll be even more comfortable in my skin. And not to revert back to that conversation from last week, which I think was a glowing one and a positive one that we had about being confident and comfortable in your own skin. But it really does go back to that at the end of the day. Are you confident and comfortable in your own skin? And I think I am at this point in my life, and thus I know I have the privilege and the right as a human being to stand up for myself and for what I believe in. And when somebody is calling me out and going at me nonchalantly, unintentionally or intentionally, and in a negative or positive manner, perhaps in a negative and very negative manner, well, I have the right to respond, to react to that, and I definitely understand that. And I think I will more and more as well as I go along in this earthly life.
If Deion did want to reply to this, do you think maybe he could have done this non-publicly? Because you got to remember, too.
Yes, off the record, like off of the public airwaves, yes.
I can understand being that we have a public platform that we sometimes have to watch what we tweet out because people are going to see it. Sometimes if you have a beef with somebody, you don't have to air it. And so you can potentially just kind of go through back channels and say, hey, man, that's enough. But Tony Romo blasted him nationally. You got to remember, Tony Romo works for CBS, and a lot of people do watch that program, so it is bringing up something in a big way. It would have been really the ultimate sign of respect for Deion Sanders to take the high road and not address it, but I do like the way he did it, and it maybe will allow Tony Romo to kind of reconsider if he's going to do that again. Do you think there will be another incident? Do you think this will escalate between Deion and Tony?
Well, really quick again, Deion Sanders is a Hall of Famer. He should have let us play even more when he was playing, do the talking. The thing is, he always wanted to talk, too, and he was a masterful, a colorful personality on the field, too, a tremendous trash talker, tremendously gifted trash talker, a guy that embraced trash talking and speaking about himself and being very confident and braggadocious in how he handled himself on the football field and off of it. So this is just him being himself. This is Deion being Deion. So is he going to retract a statement such as this in the future or not go off on somebody that talks about him like Tony Romo did? Is he going to respond differently in so many words? I don't think so in the future because this is Deion Sanders being Deion Sanders. Now, Tony Romo maybe, I think he still critiques, and it was meant half-heartedly. He spoke about this regarding Deion Sanders half-heartedly. So Sanders could have taken it nonchalantly and just taken it in stride and moved on without saying anything publicly. Because Romo didn't mean anything negatively by it. He knows Deion Sanders was a great player in his heyday, that he's a Hall of Famer. He respects him, I think, for being a Hall of Famer, a great member of the Cowboys in the past. Romo did not mean it in any negative manner. So once again, I don't think Sanders had to take it in the manner that he did and react to it on the NFL Network as he did.
Okay. Before we discuss some sad news that came out earlier in the week, I found this interesting list, and I want to see how many you can potentially get correct. All right, I found this list of 8 reasons that you are allowed to send food back, okay, legitimately. Now, when you go out to eat, there is a number one rule that people will say, and my wife has some challenges in this, and I want to tell you why. There's a notion that if you complain about food, right, Vito, you go out to a restaurant, you go out to eat, and you say, hey, the food is this way or the food's that way, and you complain and send it back. There is a movie that came out that kind of talked about it and kind of highlighted it, where you kind of, defile the food, do some things unsavory to somebody's food when you send it back. But there are times when you should, because of the fact that you're tipping. A lot of waitresses and waitstaff and people that work in restaurants really go above and beyond. Maybe they'll give you free food, they'll give you a free appetizer, a free drink. But sometimes, maybe there are times when you should not send the food back. Maybe like, obviously if there's a hair in it or something like that, maybe something's going on with the food, then you have a right to send it back. But if you ask for, things organized a certain way, nothing touching, and it does, then it's okay. It's not a big problem. If, the food is, you ordered like a vegetable, you ordered carrots, and they brought out broccoli, you don't send the whole plate back. You just say, okay, fine. There's nothing the restaurant could do about it. Let's see how many you could get. What would be a couple reasons why you would send food back? Let's see if you hit the list.
It's not cooked fully. Mm-hmm. I would have to believe that's right.
That's number 7 on number 7 on the list.
7 out of 10, right? 10
Your
reasons.
food came out at the wrong temperature, number 7. There's 8 reasons on the list.
Okay, so 7 out of 8. Okay, 7th out of 8, that would be then. Okay, so moving on from that, what would be another reason? I would say your food is cold. Mm-hmm. It is rather cold. And I guess it goes back to being not fully cooked. I would also say, well, they put the wrong meal on your dish, right? Mm-hmm. On your plate, it's a wrong meal, not the one that you requested when you ordered it.
Mm-hmm.
After that would be more troublesome for me to come up with the reasons, I think, for why you would, have the waiter take back your order. I'm kind of in a loss for words when it comes to the rest of the reasons, Doc.
Okay, number 8. Number 8 reason why you send food back, your food is loaded with salt.
Okay.
Obviously, if you have an issue. 7, which you got, your food came out at the wrong temperature. 6, your food isn't cooked the way it was described on the menu.
Mm-hmm.
5, your food is burned. 4, your protein's cooked in a way you didn't ask for. Well-done steak should be the worst food item in the entire world, and if you don't get your steak correctly, then potentially you're going to get upset. If you wanted like a medium rare steak and you get it well done, you're going to be upset. Number 3, you received the wrong menu item. Like I said, vegetables, side items, it's okay. But if you ordered an omelet and they gave you a cheeseburger, you're going to have an issue. Number 2, your food has something you're allergic to in it. Obviously, my wife having a gluten allergy, that makes it an issue. So you can't have bread on the plate or anything like that, so that's fine. Number 1 reason and the number 1 common thing that people do to send food back is your food has a foreign object in it.
A foreign object, such as what, a cut-off finger?
Yeah.
Like in the Wendy's chili when it was actually just placed there by that person?
Yep. So that's the list of reasons why. Do you have that notion? Like, do you get embarrassed by people that, are you the kind of person that orders weird stuff? Like, I want my vegetable omelet with 1 veggie and add onions, add bacon. You're like, dude, that's the farmer's omelet. Why are you mixing and matching like this? Are you a good orderer at restaurants?
I don't try to make it too complex.
Good, because this ties into the dating thing that we got to make sure you're low-key.
Here we go again.
Because
back to that.
Yeah, I would assume that ladies don't like high-maintenance guys, and you don't.
No, I'm not. I'm pretty simplistic.
Yeah, you don't rub me as a guy that's high-maintenance.
Well, look what I'm wearing right now as I'm recording this podcast, right? I don't really wear high-end gear or expect too much. That's what it is. I'm pretty basic. I am.
Okay. Now, unfortunately, being that you're a baseball guy, I know that you heard the news on Tuesday. As we were recording the Tigers Talk podcast, news started to hint at it. If you heard it on Wednesday, you heard that, we started reading the tweets on Tuesday when we recorded the baseball podcast that a plane that was owned by Roy Halladay had crashed. And then as news progressed on Tuesday, it was revealed that the private plane that was owned by Roy Halladay crashed in the Gulf, and 40 years old, Roy Halladay is deceased. And it was shocking as we were recording that baseball podcast to kind of read up on it and to read up on a man that people revered, a great teammate, a guy that had a lot of great baseball memories. I know you're a baseball guy, so I know you remember his time with the Phillies, his time with the Toronto Blue Jays, an individual that throughout, his early 30s and into his late 30s kind of had, some success. And at the time, he was the preeminent pitcher, similar to JV and Max Scherzer of this era. Back 10 years ago, Roy Halladay was the shit.
2-time Cy Young Award winner who lived life to the fullest. And you can tell by this accident that occurred via a plane that he owned, and it crashed in the Gulf of Mexico. And too young. A man that died prematurely at 40. You never want to see anybody go that young, Doc. And it's very, very sad for the state of baseball, for this nation as a whole, and everybody that got to know him. And you saw so many glowing tweets of him as a person off the baseball diamond, too. Jason Stark, formerly of ESPN, said Roy Halladay was one of the special people in this world, a beautiful man, driven by the pursuit of excellence, a Hall of Fame player and human being. And when you can say that about somebody, that they are a Hall of Fame human being, that speaks so much more highly of you than what maybe somebody can say about your legacy on the baseball diamond or in your respective professional sport.
Only one of 6 pitchers to win the Cy Young in both leagues. You believe that? Only 6 individuals. Max Scherzer, Roy Halladay, Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez. Do you know the 6th?
To win it in both leagues, you said? You tell me.
Gaylord Perry.
Okay, so way back in the day. There you go. And a lot of those big names that won it in both leagues actually did not, or did throw hard and harder than Roy Halladay, too, who was more of that command freak, control artist, the guy that could paint the corners and get strikes called for himself because he could just paint it. Put the ball where he wanted to at all times. It's the reason why he won 2 Cy Youngs, a Cy Young in each league, a great legacy that he leaves behind as well at the very, very young age of 40.
This brings back memories of Payne Stewart, amazing golfer, individual that was very revered in the world of golf, and he was on a private plane. I don't know if Roy Halladay was flying his own plane, but it seems like from his Twitter page that he was really getting into it. Just days prior to his death, he was super excited, posting tweets on his own personal Twitter page of the plane. Now you look at that plane, though. I don't want to be judgmental, but I would not. My ass would not get in a plane like that. That plane looked tiny, and it's unfortunate that I know sometimes people of wealth, they get into these hobbies. For me, I'm petrified of flying. I haven't flown in an airplane, I think, since 2013, about 4 or 5
So not
years
even
now.
going to Metro, because this is different. Flying your own plane, your private plane. Now, that would scare me. I wouldn't do. I wouldn't fly my own vehicle. I wouldn't trust myself. Roy Halladay, though, is very fitting now after hearing of this tragedy in his Twitter bio. Did you see what it reads? Courage is not being fearless, but rather acting in spite of the existence of fear. How telling and true is that now of him and his legacy after hearing of this tragic accident?
Yeah, it's just one of those things for me personally. Flying my own personal jet is not for me. I have too many fears. It's just a scary situation. You wish something like this wouldn't happen. The man was doing so many philanthropic things, doing some great things in his retirement, and gone way too soon. Roy Halladay. What's your favorite baseball memory of his? Anything stick out to you?
Well, pitching that no-hitter in the NLDS round with the Phillies. Do you remember when he did that?
I do, Vito. And like I said, he possessed stuff that was very unique, but towards the end of his career, he did kind of struggle and kind of
flamed out a little bit. Got older. And that's the thing, not to make it a Tigers Talk podcast now, but once you hit about 34, 35, that's when you start tailing off. JV, we talked about him on Tigers Talk, he's 34, going to be 35. Will he be as good? And that's what kind of makes you a Hall of Famer, how good you are after your prime. After 34, when you're not truly in your prime, Doc Halladay wasn't nearly as good. But this is about his life and legacy right now and reflecting on it in a positive manner. A guy that had a huge impact, it seems like, on a lot of people, Doc.
Okay, couple quick hitters. iPhone X was released last Friday. What'd you think about the release? Have you heard some of the news? One of the things that came out, one of the critiques is the glass shatters way too fast as opposed to other iPhones. And it's a $1,000 phone, iPhone X. But people that have it rave about it with the face recognition, with the screen, with the bigger nature of the phone and things like that. But if you drop it face down, there's a strong chance you're going to crack that glass screen, because here's what's also going to happen. If you drop your phone, the face recognition won't work anymore. And it costs $279, Vito, to fix a broken phone. And you know what I believe? I believe it's a ripoff. I think it's a scam and an interesting way that Apple can make money off of people, because people get so addicted to their phones that when they crack it, some people live with the phone crack like I do with this iPhone 6. I have a cracked iPhone 6, but it's not severe. It's just along the bottom. It's a slight crack. Some people, though, when they crack their screens or they damage their phone, they just go out and buy another one. And I do believe Apple gets so much money off of people buying phones after they break it that I do believe they find ways to make it so that it's defective in that way so that people can buy it. $279 a pop to correct a screen that breaks because of facial recognition. I think they're starting to catch on and add features that might get disabled if a phone breaks. That's going to make you have to go out there and get another one. That's going to prevent me from getting the iPhone X, because I'm a phone geek. I love, obviously, having 2-3 phones. I love the iPhone. I'm an Apple guy because of the way it syncs with my Mac, but I'm not a fan of the poor quality. That's why I see some people with their Androids and the waterproof and how they love it, and how sometimes when they protect it with a case, that an Android and Samsung is also maybe a little bit ahead of the curve in terms of making a more durable phone. Why aren't phones durable, Vito? I think it's very smart of Apple to make a slightly less durable product so that people can have to go back and buy some more. Now, do I like it? No. But I understand it, and it's kind of interesting, right?
It's a profitable business model. And you said $279 for a repair it would be? I can't afford that. You want to cover that for me?
Yeah,
that's the only way that I could afford it is through you or somebody else.
All right. Have you seen some of the videos? Do you go on YouTube and see unboxings and reviews and anything like that?
I don't do that. Don't get into it. I don't make time for it, Doc. I don't have time for that, man. I'm
you
just
don't
always
watch YouTube?
busy.
You don't watch YouTube?
I don't watch too much YouTube. You know what I watch on YouTube, and I have a lot lately, is SNL. Reruns of it, of their skits on YouTube the next day on their YouTube channel. I'll watch that stuff on their YouTube channel. That's about the only thing that I watch currently and actively on YouTube.
Next time you watch some skits from SNL, save it, share it, and we'll play some on the podcast. We can review some and see if they're actually funny, if you and I maybe have similar taste in humor.
I just hope you approve. And something that wasn't humorous or funny was over the weekend. Last weekend, the Texas church shooting, really quick. 26 people confirmed dead, 20 more injured. And in those 26 confirmed dead as of Tuesday, the recording day for this podcast, Doc, one of them was an unborn individual. How sad is that, of those 26 dead? And I have a tweet here, kind of in a Vito's Bad tweet of the week for this episode, from Michael Skolnick. Now, he is, by the way...
Is it controversial?
It's controversial because of the fact that, well, it brings up the gun control. And really quick from this Michael Skolnick, creator of Obama and Kids, he tweeted out, "One shoe bomber tried to blow up a plane, and now we take off our shoes at the airport." 1,520 mass shootings since Sandy Hook, and Congress has done nothing. I think that tells you, and what it should tell all of us and scream at us, Doc, is that there needs to be gun control. That's all I can say. There needs to be gun control.
Yeah, I think people are talking about it more and more. People are revisiting what kind of guns people should have, and the notion is to bridge the gap between those that say, look, in America, you'll always be able to have guns. What we're saying is we want to limit the kind of semi-automatic weapons, the guns that can be made into automatic weapons with just a couple gadgetries here and there, and it will be looked at. I think anything with the government is always slow. It is, with bureaucracies, everybody has their interest. There's a lot of money involved with the NRA. It's a sad situation, and it's just sad to hear all the way around because it's one of those divisive issues that people come across. It splits us. Everybody has their own personal opinions about it. It is really tough to see these type of stories. I try not to watch them as much anymore, but when it occurs in a church, it's really sad because that's a place people really do feel safe. It's like letting your guard down in a safe place. And for it to happen there is really unfortunate. But on the other side of it, an individual in the community came out with a gun and shot at the perpetrator. And some people are making the argument that maybe more people could have been killed or harmed had somebody not with a gun came out and responded. So it's a debatable issue. It's a hot button topic. We just always say that what we try to do is to prevent these things by doing a lot of the good things that make people function well. Have good relationships, treat people nice, laugh, have good mental health, be passionate about things, and try your absolute best if there's problems to support those that love you so that those that do feel ostracized or feel like there's problems in their life don't take it out this way. If we do more of that, then hopefully the mental health in the country can be improved, and with more talks about gun control, that there is a solution that is as close to agreeable to as many people as possible. You're never going to get 100% consensus on a gun control topic because it is one of those, polarizing topics. But the closer we get to some agreement and some level of compromise, then I think we can actually move somewhere with the issue.
Really quick, it's about mental health to a certain extent, but it's about taking measures as well to curtail this gun violence, right? You got to take measures to help out with gun control, to lead to less and less of these events happening. That is the aim, should be the plan from Trump and his administration, from Congress. There should be a movement made towards more and more gun control because of these incidents, and way too many of them have happened. And you know what? You know that there's going to be way too many more of them to happen as well until Congress does take a stand and do something about gun control in our nation, Doc.
Any plans special for this upcoming weekend?
You know what? I might be going to somewhere around the Little Caesars Arena. I'm not going to a game, but I think I'm going to be going over there by that entertainment district, going to check it out, and going to have a good time tonight, actually, Saturday night of this weekend.
Very nice. I seen your work on our Twitter page at Detroit Podcast. You can follow Vito at Vito Jerome. You did great work at the Horatio Williams High School Media Day. I think it came out really well. I thought you asked some great questions, some that got some response from people, and that's all you can ask for. I think you're doing well doing these projects and things like that. I know you got high school football coming up at Ford Field over Thanksgiving, and you can always find Vito around town making his way known, and he's carrying the big stick.
Yes, I love how you call it. It is the big stick. I am just wielding that big stick all around.
We just got to teach you how to use it.
Yes.
Professionally and personally.
Personally as well. Both sticks. There we go. And we'll leave you with that on this week's edition of Two Bad Hombres. I am Vito Churko. That is the Doc from Doc and Jock. And we are signing off.
The free and easy way to help keep us on the air. Visit our website, DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Greatly appreciate it.
Get it, get fly. I got 6 jobs. I don't care.